Importantly, he's got to make the right decisions going forward, but we'll talk more about that. As we go forward, it's time to welcome in. I don't care what Rod Brooks says about him. Didn't Rod Brooks say he was the Juwan Jennings of 49er
Something
media?
like that. He did. Yeah, he told me something like that.
Yeah, the great Matt Maiocco. How are you, Matt?
Now, is that because I convert on third downs or because I do a lot of trash talking that might not be suitable for an audience?
He was telling us it was the latter. And I know he's a big fan of yours, but he was just saying, he was saying you're a guy to be reckoned with. That's all.
Yeah, well, we got to keep each other on our toes there in the studio.
Yeah, well, we appreciate your time, Matt. It's been too long. Is it still realistic to think the 49ers rushing attack can actually get measurably better this season?
I kind of, for a while, I was like, it'll come around. You kind of have that, you take that leap of faith because of what you've seen since 2017 when Kyle Shanahan came to the 49ers. It didn't matter who was the running back. It didn't matter who was blocking. The running game was always among the best in the NFL. And so you just assume that, the first few weeks was a blip on the radar. You assume that when George Kittle came back, things were going to get right. And I think for a little while there, it did look that way. But now you really have to wonder if they have it in them to be better than what they've been, which is 3.5 yards a carry and only 3.6 with McCaffrey on the field. So you still expect, like, if they're going to make a run at this thing, if they're going to run the table, if they're going to make a deep playoff push, that is the one area of the offense for sure that they have to be significantly improved upon to win a few games against playoff caliber teams.
Matt, I want to introduce you to Kayla Anderson. She's been helping us out for a while here, doing a great job since Kyle Draper moved on. And she's been covering the Tennessee Titans for years, so she has paid her dues, Matt.
Well, anyone who has to work alongside Paul Kaharski definitely has to pay their dues.
Paul is one of those that we figured each other out like many of the media does with him down there. Like, he is who he is, and you know what? You just got to hold your ground, right?
Absolutely.
He's great,
Absolutely.
though. He's been there for a long time. And speaking of, you were saying Jennings just a second ago, and just kind of the trash talking, but really his talking, he's doing a lot on the field to back it up, and specifically like getting in the end zone. I mean, he has been one of the more successful wide receivers who's been able to score touchdowns this season. How impressed have you been with him, and just another step in the right direction for his play?
Yeah. Last year you had a really good season. Should have had 1,000 yards if he hadn't gotten kicked out of that final game of the season. And this year there was just so much adversity with, the 5 fractured ribs and playing through that. And he's gotten healthy. I know he took a shot in that game Sunday, but he wasn't on any kind of injury report coming out of that game. So I take that as very good news. But no, without Brandon Ayuk, without Deebo Samuel, and with Ricky Pearsall being in and out of the lineup, Jennings has really had to step up, and I think by and large he's done that. He's a nice safety blanket there for Brock Purdy, especially on those third downs. But yeah, he's a guy that has to continue to play at a high level, and he's playing for a contract. 49ers did not give him the kind of contract that he desired in the off season and in the training camp, and so. Now he's playing for that next contract, whether that's with the 49ers or some other team. But, yeah, he is definitely an invaluable part of that offense.
Catching up with the great Matt Maiocco here, Drive Guys. Matt, what kind of problems, realistically, could Phillip Rivers and the Colts pose for the 49er defense next Monday?
I mean, he's smart. I mean, watching that game – yeah, I mean, you'll understand this one, Whitey. He threw the ball like Billy Kilmer. Those were not tight spirals. Yeah. There wasn't a whole lot on those throws, but at 44 and a grandfather, you wouldn't necessarily expect him to light it up. To me, the bigger issue going into this game would be stopping Jonathan Taylor, slowing him down. If you can get Phillip Rivers into third and long situations, and the 49ers defense should be able to have its way. I mean, I think at his age, with 10 children, he's all about self-preservation. And so no quarterback in the league got rid of the ball faster than he did last week. And so if he's allowed to take 5 or 7 step drops and push the ball down the field, then that's an issue. 49ers have to speed him up, and he's going to want to avoid all the hits. I don't know exactly why the Colts wanted to go in that direction. I think they would have been better off just sticking with the rookie. But I know a lot of coaches will always err on the side of, we want somebody who knows what he's doing, even if he can't physically pull it off. At least we know he's doing what the coaching staff is asking of him. But now I don't see him offering too much of a threat at this stage.
Matt, what can you tell us this week about some of the guys returning to practice, specifically on the defensive side, where that's where you've seen most of the injuries this season?
Yeah, it sounds like everybody will have an opportunity to come back. Tatum Bethune at middle linebacker and Sam Okawanu at defensive end, and Yetur Gross-Matos will be returning to practice for a second week. He's still on IR, but that's somebody who, if healthy, and that's been a big if he can get on the field and stay on the field, he will help this team with that defensive line rotation. So those are the 3 main guys who appear to be coming back. And the one guy who's really iffy for Monday night would be Ricky Pearsall. Okay. He has the aggravation of the PCL in his right knee, and also has the ankle. It wasn't a high ankle, so that was good news. But I mean, watching that first play of the game with the hip drop tackle, I thought I was kind of surprised he was able to get back in the game. But so he's banged up, and I would say I would kind of classify it as very iffy that he can play Monday, but it looks like there's a good chance that those defensive guys will be back on the field.
Joined by Matt Maiocco, 49ers insider for NBC Sports Bay Area. Matt, sticking with the defense, what is the philosophy right now of the defense? It feels like they're a bend but don't break. They're 25th overall, but they're getting it done. They just do just enough to get by. What's the philosophy of that squad right now?
Boy, I think they're trying to figure it out too. They don't have the defensive line that they've had in the past. They're the worst team in the league when it comes to sacking the quarterback. Only 16 sacks in these 14 games, and that's down there. That is 32nd in the league. So with so many new faces and moving parts, I think they're just trying to piece it together, game in, game out, and figure out what the best strategy is. There are some games recently that Robert Saleh has dialed up more blitzes, brought more pressure, but that does put a lot of strain on the defensive backfield. So, that's a great question. I don't think they've found their identity. I think it's a week-to-week process, and they're just kind of learning as they go along here. But they did have 2 good games, holding Carolina and Cleveland under 10 points. This week, I wasn't impressed by the defensive effort this last week. The run game wasn't good, allowing Cam Ward to have his best day in the NFL. That wasn't good. So, if they can kind of figure out some things there and get some guys back and find a way to create pressure, they'll be in much better shape. But right now, I'm a little bit skeptical about how far this defense can take them.
So, Matt, to that point, is there still room for the offense to play better, and how important is it going forward for them to do that and maybe carry the defense a little bit?
I think that's right. Yeah, I think that the passing game looks to be pretty good. I think after the 3 interceptions in the first half against Carolina, Brock Purdy has played much better. Of course, it's hard to play any worse than how that looked in that first half of that game. But, he came back in bad conditions against Cleveland and against a good defense and played well in that game. And then I thought he was pretty spot on against Tennessee. Again, not a great defense that he was facing by any stretch. But I think the one area where the offense can get better and should get better is what we talked about earlier. If they can run the ball effectively and get more chunk plays on offense and stay out of 3rd and longs, that offense should be pretty good. It should be really good as they kind of hit their stride here in the final 3 games. And this last game was a very positive step in the direction of just converting third downs, scoring basically every time they touch the ball. Only sending out the punter Thomas Morstead to hold on extra points and field goals. That was a good step for them. But I would think that the defense will continue to be a question mark, but the offense has to carry the day, and the way that they can do that is to show some improvement with the running game.
Well, Matt, we appreciate it. Great as always. It's been too long, as I say. Happy holidays. Thank you for your time. We hope to talk to you again soon, brother.
Sounds great. Thanks so much for reaching out, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay,
Thanks, Matt.
thank you. When we come back, the NBA will be channeling